Hold on, hold on. That was the moment right there. Was that a knockdown to you?
Yeah, it could have been easily.
The ropes kept him up?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man.
Now, I'm saying if you hit him like that.
He not getting up.
Teeth different.
Just the whole thing. I think it's time. It's time for it to happen, man. It'll be good for him afterwards.
What Conor Benn casually dropped about Shakur Stevenson might be the most revealing take yet on why this fight with Teofimo Lopez has everyone split down the middle.
But I think Teo can cause an upset.
Benn didn't frame it as a hot take or a bold prediction. Instead, he peeled back the layers of the matchup by talking about personalities, comfort zones, and what each man truly wants out of the sport. From his point of view, Stevenson is one of those rare fighters who can dominate without ever needing chaos. His intelligence, timing, and spatial awareness allow him to control fights in a way that drains opponents mentally as much as physically. Benn clearly respects that level of mastery. He even acknowledged how impressive Stevenson looked in his recent outing against Zepeda, where he showed sharper edges. Still, Benn noticed the contradiction. Stevenson himself has hinted that fighting that aggressively isn't something he wants to make a habit of. That detail matters to Benn because it speaks to philosophy, efficiency, and longevity.
Don't get me wrong, I think I'm all about entertainment. Me personally, like what I like to see is, you know, entertainment and blood and, you know, guts and pride. Shakur don't have to go there because he's so gifted and so talented. And I really liked what I saw when he fought Zepeda. Like he looked sharp and it was exciting. But then he's come out in an interview after and said he's not doing that again. But he looked unbelievable. People want to skip to the money May. People forget the pretty boy, Floyd. You know, it's where he was a savage, you know, and was entertaining. But watching him fight Zepeda, you know, razor sharp, you know, incredible ring IQ. But I think Teo is a bigger man.
When Benn shifted the lens to Lopez, the tone subtly changed. He started talking less about finesse and more about presence. Size came up quickly, not as a lazy talking point, but as a practical concern. Lopez has lived at the higher weight longer. His body is used to the demands of super lightweight, and Benn sees that as a real problem for someone still proving themselves there. Beyond the frame, Benn emphasized Lopez's sharpness and athletic range, the way speed, explosiveness, and power coexist in him. Lopez isn't just physically imposing, he's mentally switched on when it matters, capable of reading moments and capitalizing instantly. He gravitates toward grit, physicality, and edge-of-the-seat exchanges, produce fireworks rather than a quiet technical duel.
It can cause some problems. Teo's ring IQ, sharpness, speed, agility, power is up there. So, you know, I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I back Teo to win.
That contrast in viewpoints is exactly what makes this matchup so fascinating, and Benn isn't alone in dissecting it from his own angle. Mario Barrios approached the fight with a calmer, more methodical mindset. As someone who holds a world title himself, he didn't rush to sell drama. Instead, he framed the contest as a high-level thinking battle, where positioning, timing, and patience would be just as important as power. While acknowledging Lopez's history of rising to the occasion as an underdog, Barrios leaned toward Stevenson's refinement. To him, Stevenson looks like a fighter who has polished his craft down to its smallest detail, turning movement and distance into weapons that rarely fail him. Barrios didn't dismiss Lopez at all.
Leaning with Shakur, I think he kind of just got shit down like on a boxing IQ level. That due to his distance is impeccable. I think it's gonna be a high-speed chess match, but I am leaning with Shakur.
Oscar De La Hoya, drawing from decades of experience both inside the ropes and behind the scenes, sees Stevenson as one of the most complex puzzles in the sport today. From his vantage point, Stevenson's dominance begins with his command of distance and his lead hand. Opponents struggle to even initiate offense because they're constantly being redirected or forced to reset. His defense isn't flashy for the sake of it, it's structural and disciplined. Yet De La Hoya didn't shut the door on Lopez. In fact, he suggested that if any active fighter has the specific blend of tools needed to disrupt that kind of order, Lopez might be the one. There was no guarantee implied.
You know what, Teo's a hell of a fighter. I love Teo, but I love Shakur. His style is almost impossible to break, but if there's a fighter who can break it, it's Teo. But it's going to be a hell of a fight because I love Shakur because he doesn't run. He's right there in front front of you. So it's up to Teo to do something, but I think it's going to be a great fight. Great fight for boxing.
Mikey Garcia narrowed the conversation to a single variable he believes outweighs all others. Which version of Lopez shows up on the night? He's seen the extremes up close. The Lopez who dismantled elite names like Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, and the Lopez who looked strangely flat against fighters he was expected to handle with ease.
Great matchup, tough fight. I want to see what Teofimo shows up, because sometimes it's Teofimo, sometimes it's Teofimo, the great fighter who beat Lomachenko, who beat Taylor. That's a tough Teofimo. But then we've also seen him, you know, in off nights.
Right.
And so that's kind of the only doubt, the only question that I have. You know, which Teofimo's gonna show up.
What do you think he has to do to kind of deal with a guy like Shakur Stevenson? How would you approach a fighter like Shakur Stevenson if you were Teofimo Lopez with the attributes that he has?
I would think Teofimo, being that technically he's a bigger fighter, bigger size, he's been at the weight class a little more, and then just maybe build into it more. I would think he would have to use that, you know, size as an advantage. But it's hard to say, because I mean, Shakur Stevenson fucking good at what he does.
Oshaki Foster offered a perspective rooted in familiarity rather than theory, how suffocating Stevenson can be when he's clearly the superior athlete. In those scenarios, everything flows for him. Defense, counters, footwork. But Foster has also noticed something subtler. When Stevenson faces someone who can match his speed and physical presence, the gaps, while still small, become visible.
You said, my opinion on him and Teo?
Yeah, do you think he beats him? Because essentially, if he beats him, I assume he would probably stay at 140 then.
Nah, styles make fights. I don't know. I don't really see. I think that's a bad style matchup for Shakur.
Really? You're like the 10th person that's told me this. I kid you not. Like, it's just because I know the obvious people will feel like Shakur's undefeated. He's a defensive fighter. Teo's kind of struggled with the boxer, but I've just talked to someone again today. Like, everyone favors kind of like Teo for some reason, just from what I've talked to. So why is that? Because you sparred Shakur, and I guess you would know better. So, I mean,
Shakur, he likes to be the most athletic guy in the ring. When he's not, he has problems. Shakur he's a right-hander fighting out of southpaw stance. So when you meet guys like that's athleticism, that fight with their strong hand in the back, you're gonna have to rely on more than just your jab and the rangefinder. You know what I mean? Like, you tell me, do he got a solid left hand?
I mean, I haven't been punched.
You seen him throw it. You seen him throw it, but you've never seen him hurt or knock nobody out with it. So I just think when you meet certain guys, that's why I say the style. You meet certain guys, you're gonna have to rely on both of them things, both of them hands. You know what I mean? And I just think it's a bad style matchup for him.
From the trainer's corner, Abel Sanchez framed the fight less as a technical puzzle and more as a question of responsibility. He's aware of the concern that two high-level thinkers could neutralize each other. In his view, the onus falls on Lopez to prevent that outcome. Sanchez doesn't believe Lopez is wired to pride, ambition, and the hunger for stardom. If Lopez applies pressure intelligently, Sanchez expects it to draw more than just safe jabs from Stevenson, potentially unlocking the kind of exchanges that define memorable fights.
Shakur's a great talent, and Teofimo looked great in his last fight. Of course, he didn't have Shakur in front of him, but I think that for Shakur, he has to keep the fight at his distance. If he does that, I think it's a win for him. Teofimo, he's more, he wants to draw you in, he wants to counter punch. He's gonna have to be a different guy this time. He's gonna have to attack. He's gonna have to be leading the fight, or else it's gonna be a boring fight. I don't think it'll be a boring fight, but if he sits back and waits for Shakur's gonna wait for him, then it's not gonna be exciting. But I think Teofimo will attack. I think Teofimo has to attack. I think Teofimo has to do what Zepeda did, except for Teofimo's a lot more talented than Zepeda was. So I think that I honestly, I see a draw. I don't know why I see a draw, but I just see them both having great rounds and giving us the kind of fight that I think the public is looking for.
Amir Khan's input came from hands-on experience rather than observation. Working pads with Lopez left a strong impression on him, particularly regarding how technically sound Lopez actually is. Khan feels that public perception often reduces Lopez to raw power and personality, overlooking the refinement underneath. From what Khan has seen, Lopez's skill set, which only complicates the task for someone like Stevenson.
The fight between Stevenson and Lopez, what a fight.
Who wins that?
Lopez. You think Stevenson? Lopez is a very good fighter, bro. I've trained with him, I've heard him on the pod, he bangs hard, he's a good all-round boxer, slick. A lot of people don't give him the credit for how good of a boxer he is. Look, he's the type of guy I know about Lopez is that when he has to turn it up, he turns it up. And I think with someone like Shakur, he will have to turn it up big time. And obviously Shakur, we've not really seen him in the deep end. Look at Lopez, he's fought the likes of Lomachenko. He's beaten some great names on the way, man.
Sean Porter approached the matchup with the honesty of someone who has lived through similar career crossroads. To him, the fight is as close to a true 50-50 as it gets. On Lopez's best nights, Porter sees a fighter who feels almost unstoppable, a force that overwhelms opponents with confidence and ferocity. But Porter also pointed out the inconsistency that has crept into some of Lopez's performances. Struggles with mid-fight adjustments or mental lapses against fighters like Sandor Martin and Jermaine Ortiz raise questions. That unpredictability sits at the heart of why this fight feels so volatile.
Rumor has it, it's coming. But we got Shakur versus Teo.
Okay.
I gotta get your opinion on that one.
It's just, it's so hard, man. On Teo's best day, he's kind of unstoppable. I don't know if it's that he gets in his own way. I don't know if it's that he doesn't adjust well. I'm really not sure what it is, but we've seen flaws in his game. We haven't seen any flaws in Shakur's game. Everyone would say his offense is his flaw because he's not offensive enough and stuff like that. Just get out of here. The kid's beautiful. When he gets in the ring, beautiful. When he gets out of the ring, that smile don't change at all, you know? And, so that being said, man, I think with Shakur, you got to be able to rough him up. You got to be able to get out of the way of what's coming after you rough him up. And one thing that I really like about Teo is his explosiveness. You know, he has the ability to just be on top of you and be unpredictable. If he's using that, it's gonna be a great fight. But at the moment, I would say 60-40 for Shakur.
Okay.
Tim Bradley zoomed out even further, placing the bout within a historical and cultural frame. He sees the collision of these two fighters as a rare meeting of athletic peaks, reminiscent of classic matchups where legacies were forged in real time. While Stevenson has been the steadier presence at the top level recently, the winner, in his eyes, catapults themselves into a different tier altogether, reshaping pound-for-pound conversations and reinforcing the idea that the sport still produces moments of genuine risk and ambition.
I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see this battle. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because what y'all gonna witness is, I'm gonna tell you right now what you're gonna witness. You're gonna witness fundamentals, great fundamentals, versus that explosive stuff. You know what I'm saying? That explosive stuff. So, like, let me give you a prime example. Not to this degree, but Tonio Tarver, Roy Jones. Tarver had them fundamentals down. Roy didn't have them fundamentals down. Now, I understand what happened. Now, yeah, look, if Teofimo Lopez, he get out of line and he want to run in there that fire and he get his behind caught, just like, Norman Jr. got his behind caught, talking about, he can't punch. Oh, he can find himself picking himself off of the canvas too. Yeah, talking about Shakur can't punch. I don't see many guys just running in there on Shakur. But anyways, look, y'all already know what it is. Precision, timing, right? Hitting the dude when he don't see something coming. That's power. Or hitting the dude when he coming in. That's power. Yeah, that's power. Yeah, if you didn't know, now you damn know.
Teddy Atlas added texture by revisiting Stevenson's evolution. He pointed to the Zepeda fight as evidence that Stevenson is no longer confined to a single identity. In that performance, Stevenson applied pressure, fought effectively on the inside, and still maintained his defensive integrity, with both men comfortable across multiple ranges, where one mistake could tilt everything.
I mean, Shakur showed aggression in his last fight against Zepeda, being elusive while being aggressive. Walking them down, fighting on the inside, boxing well, still being able to counter, still being able to control space, but also be able to go into tight quarters and not be afraid to show that he's good on the inside too, that he can make you miss and make you pay outside and inside. Shakur showed that. That was great. That was great, and people applaud him. I applaud him. We were sitting there, ringside. I was sitting there actually with your sister, ringside, watching that fight. And it was a terrific performance. Shakur showing that dimension, showing that attitude, showing that competitiveness, showing that dog like people like to show or like to talk about, and they wanted to see in Shakur. Well, they saw it. Teofimo showed you that he can fight inside, he can fight outside. He would have the advantage of power in this fight.
Ali Malignaggi captured the emotional tension underlying all these technical debates. His instincts lean slightly towards Stevenson, but history has taught him to be cautious when writing off Lopez. Time and again, Lopez has responded to doubt with his best performances, while expectations of dominance have sometimes coincided with uneven nights. That psychological push and pull makes the fight feel razor thin. Malignaggi recognizes Stevenson's potential to sit atop the sport, but he also respects Lopez as the kind of disruptor who thrives on chaos.
There's a replay there. You want to give Shakur the edge, and I do, but Teo is not something to play with, because when he's got his back to the wall, he becomes the most difficult guy to deal with, you know? And he's got his best performances when people count him out. And then when people feel like he's going to win easily, he's got his worst performances. So this is one of those times where Teo could make it really, really interesting. Shakur, for me, is a possible pound for pound #1 at one time. But if there's a guy who could be a threat to him, it is Teo, because Teo has that little bit of difference-making ability.
Is it a 60-40 fight? Is it still close?
I mean, it's probably 60-40, maybe even higher, but that's a live 30 and 40 by Teofimo, because again, the way he shows up is very, very difficult and tricky.
But it's very rare for fighters to fight in their prime nowadays. They're both, 28 years old. They're fighting in their prime.
Yeah.
You got to give a lot of respect to both of them, right?
Yeah, you do. And that's the problem. You don't see a lot of fights happening in the guys' primes. They milk the money and stuff like that. That's why I give these two guys credit.
When all these perspectives are woven together, the picture that emerges isn't about right or wrong predictions. It's about contrast. Stevenson represents control, precision, and confidence born from repetition. Lopez embodies volatility, physicality, and the capacity to turn belief into bursts of brilliance. Conor Benn's initial remarks may have sparked attention, and no amount of analysis can fully tame the uncertainty that makes boxing compelling in the first place.